When the light dimmed, the night YUMENGLONG left the world in silence. The night felt unusually quiet, as though the world itself had forgotten how to breathe. Streets that once echoed with laughter and music now seemed to mourn in stillness. Somewhere between dusk and dawn, a light that had illuminated millions of hearts dimmed forever. YUMENGLONG, the man whose smile warmed even the coldest screens, took his final bow, leaving behind a silence so heavy that even the stars seemed to pause. For years, YUMENGLONG had been a symbol of gentleness and grace, the kind of soul that didn't just act or sing, but felt. His artistry carried emotion like the wind carries scent, invisible yet deeply present. From his soulful eyes to the calmness of his demeanor, he had a way of speaking to people's hearts without uttering a single word. And perhaps that's why his passing struck so deeply. It wasn't just a celebrity death. It was the quiet collapse of something pure, something beautifully human. In every role he played, YUMENGLONG seemed to bring a piece of his soul to life. Fans remember him not just for the characters he portrayed, but for the way he made those characters real. Whether as the melancholic hero or the quiet lover, he had this uncanny ability to make you believe in emotion again, to make you feel that tenderness wasn't weakness, that love wasn't a fantasy, and that silence could sometimes speak louder than words. His art was not just performance, it was communion. The night he left this world, social media platforms flooded with disbelief. The news spread like wildfire, each post, each comment a cry from those who felt they had lost more than an artist. It was as if millions of hearts had been connected to a single string, and that string had suddenly snapped. "No, it can't be true," one fan wrote beneath an old video of him singing softly on stage. "Please tell me this is a lie." Another posted a photo of him with the caption, "You taught us how to love in silence. Now your silence hurts the most." As the night deepened, candlelights appeared in homes, in streets, in corners of the internet, each flame representing a soul who refused to let his light go out completely. There was something poetic about that, about people all over the world holding small lights for a man who had once illuminated their lives. He had left the world in silence, yet his absence echoed louder than any applause. For his closest friends and colleagues, the loss was more than public grief, it was personal heartbreak. Many of them spoke in whispers about how he was always the quiet one on set, the one who offered comfort without making a scene. They said he had a gentle humor, a way of making people laugh when no one was watching. One director described him as a man who carried light within him, not the kind that shone for fame, but the kind that warmed souls. Even his co-stars often mentioned how his presence on set was like calm rain, never demanding attention, yet impossible to ignore. In a world that often rewards loudness, YUMENGLONG's power was his stillness. He didn't chase the spotlight came to him, drawn by his quiet magnetism. It's rare, almost miraculous, to see someone who could move people not with grand gestures, but with sincerity. That was you, subtle, yet unforgettable. When people talk about legacy, they usually think of awards, numbers, or achievements. But YUMENGLONG's legacy can't be measured by that. His was the kind that lingers in hearts, in quiet nights, in the moments when you hear a song and suddenly remember a scene he played. His death was the kind that doesn't just mark the end of a life, it marks the end of an era of innocence and warmth. As tributes poured in from every corner of the world, one thing became clear. He had touched lives far beyond what he ever imagined. Fans shared stories of how his songs had comforted them through heartbreaks, how his dramas helped them through lonely nights, how his smile gave them strength on bad days. He became more than an idol. He became a companion, a friend who never left their side even through the screen. There was something timeless about him. Even now, people scroll through his photos, replay his interviews, and rewatch his performances just to feel close to him again. It's as if his soul was captured in every frame, every lyric, every breath he gave to the world. And maybe that's what makes his silence so painful, because you can still see him, hear him, feel him, yet know he's no longer there. In the days following his passing, fans organized candlelight vigils, both in person and online. Some gathered in parks, singing his songs softly into the night air. Others lit virtual candles, filling screens with flickering gold. Each candle was a memory, a promise that his light, though dimmed, would never truly go out. Across languages and borders, one message remained the same. Thank you, Yumenglong, for everything you gave us. Many say that when someone like him leaves the world, the universe feels it. And maybe that's true, because in the nights that followed, the sky seemed darker and yet, strangely, more beautiful. Perhaps it was because the stars had gained a new light. Somewhere up there, maybe he still sings softly, the same way he always did, with calmness, with depth, with love. It's easy to feel angry at the unfairness of it all, how someone so kind, so full of life, could vanish so soon. But perhaps, as fans have begun to realize, Yumenglong's story didn't end the night he left. It simply changed form. His body may have gone still, but his essence, the emotions he gave, the art he created, the lives he touched, continues to move. It flows through every fan who keeps his memory alive, through every smile he once inspired. To love an artist like Yumenglong is to accept that their light shines differently. It doesn't fade, it transforms. He might no longer be among us, but he has become part of the timeless current of art and emotion that lives forever. Each song he recorded now carries double meaning, once as melody, now as memory. Each drama scene becomes more than a performance. It becomes a piece of eternity. And so, the world continues to mourn, but also to celebrate. Because while death took his voice from us, it couldn't take the echo. The echo lives on, in his music, in his fans, in the soft tears shed in the dark. Somewhere out there, someone is still whispering his name before sleep. Someone is still watching his old videos with trembling hands. Someone is still saying, I miss you. The night Yumenglong left the world in silence, the light dimmed, but didn't die. It simply moved, gently, into the hearts of all who loved him. His silence is not an end. It's a reminder of how deeply he spoke when he was alive. He taught the world that love can exist beyond words, that beauty doesn't always need noise, and that sometimes the brightest souls are the quietest. Maybe one day, when people look back at this moment, they won't just remember the sadness. They'll remember the warmth he brought, the hope he sparked, the dreams he inspired. There are nights that never fade from memory, nights that etch themselves into the hearts of millions, where silence becomes the loudest sound. The night Yumenglong left this world was one of those nights. The pain didn't come in waves. It came like a storm that refused to end. Across cities, across time zones, people sat motionless, staring at their screens, unable to believe the words that confirmed their worst fear. Yumenglong is gone. In homes lit only by the glow of phone screens, fans scrolled endlessly, hoping the news would somehow prove false. Some cried silently. Others screamed into their pillows, their hearts breaking for a man they had never met yet felt deeply connected to. The internet was flooded with videos, clips of you smiling during interviews, laughing behind the scenes, singing softly to his fans. Each replayed moment became a fragment of memory, a desperate attempt to hold onto what was already slipping away. One fan wrote, he didn't just act, he lived through his art. Every scene, every song felt like a piece of his heart. Now that he's gone, the world feels quieter, emptier. Another shared, I never thought someone I've never met could leave such a void. That was the power of Yumenglong. He bridged the gap between the screen and the soul. He made people believe in sincerity again. In the days that followed, the air carried a strange heaviness. News channels replayed his greatest performances. Radio stations dedicated hours to his songs. In Beijing, Shanghai, and countless cities across Asia, fans gathered with candles and white flowers. Some stood in the rain, holding pictures of him close to their chests, whispering prayers. The city lights seemed dimmer that night, as if even the world mourned his passing. There was a particular video circulating online, one taken just months before his death. He was sitting by a window, sunlight casting a warm glow on his face as he strummed a guitar. He wasn't performing for a crowd, just humming softly to himself. In that moment, he looked peaceful, untouched by fame, grounded in simplicity. Watching that clip now feels hauntingly prophetic, like he was already halfway between this world and the next. Those who knew him personally described him as gentle, almost fragile. He wasn't loud or demanding. He listened more than he spoke. He smiled more than he complained. On film sets, he would often be the one offering water to crew members, thanking everyone from the director to the lighting assistants. His humility was as rare as his talent. Even in fame, he remained grounded, a soft soul in an unforgiving industry. Many of his colleagues have since shared stories that deepen the ache of loss. One actress recalled how you once stayed up all night rehearsing a single emotional scene, not for perfection, but for authenticity. He wanted the audience to feel, she said. He believed every tear should be real, every silence meaningful. That's what made him extraordinary. Indeed, YUMENGLONG's artistry wasn't just skill, it was sensitivity. He understood that emotion wasn't about performance, but truth. He wasn't afraid to be vulnerable, and that vulnerability was his gift. It's why millions adored him, not just for his looks or fame, but because he reflected something deeply human, gentleness in a world that often forgets how to be kind. After his passing, fans created a digital memorial, a space where people could write letters to him. Thousands of messages poured in within hours. Some thanked him for the comfort he gave through his roles. Others apologized for not saying thank you sooner. There were even letters from people who admitted they had been struggling with life and that his words, his songs, had given them the strength to keep going. In a way, Yu's light continues to save lives even in his absence. The memorial page became a river of emotion, one that spoke volumes about how deeply one soul could impact the world. Strangers comforted strangers. They shared stories, photos, edits, fan art, small digital candles burning in the vastness of the internet. It was proof that love, when genuine, transcends distance and even death. Somewhere amid the grief, fans began replaying one of his interviews where he was asked about happiness. He had smiled softly and said, "Happiness isn't about how much you have, but about how deeply you feel." Those words, once simple, now feel eternal, a message from a man who lived by them. People started seeing signs, sunsets more golden than before, songs playing at just the right moment, dreams where you appeared smiling gently. Maybe it's coincidence, or maybe, as many believe, his spirit still lingers, quietly watching, still comforting the hearts that ache for him. In art, some say immortality is found. And perhaps that's where YUMENGLONG lives now, in the scenes he left behind, in the melodies that still carry his voice, in the emotions he stirred in people who never stopped believing in his light. His legacy isn't carved in stone or fame, but in feeling, in the quiet tears that fall when his name is spoken, in the smiles that bloom when his videos play. There's a particular beauty in how he is remembered, not with noise or spectacle, but with peace. His fans don't just celebrate his talent, they honor his kindness. They speak of how he looked at the world, not with arrogance, but with wonder. How he made others feel seen, valued, loved. Even after his death, that energy remains soft, healing, endless. Late at night, when the city grows silent and the sky glows faintly blue, you can almost imagine him there, somewhere above, smiling that same serene smile, his eyes full of compassion. The thought brings comfort, because maybe he didn't leave, maybe he just transformed. YUMENGLONG once said in an old interview, "If I can leave one thing behind, I hope it's warmth. Even if it's small, I hope it reaches someone who needs it." And that warmth lives on. It burns quietly in the hearts of millions who still whisper his name. It flickers in every fan who holds onto hope, in every tear shed with love, in every song replayed not to mourn, but to remember. When the light dimmed that night, the world cried, but it also learned something profound. That even when someone's gone, the love they leave behind remains. That true stars never fade, they simply shine from a different place. And maybe when the wind is still and the night sky glimmers softly, if you listen closely enough, you might just hear him, not in words, but in the silence he left behind. Because YUMENGLONG's silence is an emptiness. It's eternity.